Hi, I'm here to talk with you a little bit about the power of positive reinforcement in dog training. One of the things that's been real important in my life is learning how to work with the dogs that I have and the dogs in my life in a positive way. Basically, what positive reinforcement does in dog training, and I have a quote here by Patricia McConnell, who is actually a world-famous animal behaviorist who works at the UW here. She has a television show on Animal Planet and a call-in show on NPR. And basically, she says that if the dogs learn much faster and are more reliable, if they learn to feel good about doing what you ask. And to me, that's the sort of the crux of this whole conversation about positive reinforcement, is that your dog wants to do what you ask because they get good things for it. So basically how positive dog training works, the first principle is associative learning, and that's basically if two things tend to happen at the same time, you begin to expect one thing when you see the other thing. And this is what Pavlov did when he trained his dogs to salivate at the sound of a bell. Basically, he presented food, they would salivate at the food, he'd ring the bell, and then at some point you could remove the food and just the sound of the bell would bring the salivation. The second part is by B.F. Skinner, and it's operant conditioning, and basically it says it rewards desired behavior and ignores unwanted behavior. And to me, this is one of the other things that is really critical about positive training, is that you spend your time shaping the behavior that you want because you reward what you want, and when the dog does something that you don't want, you completely ignore that, and over time the dog will learn that they get nothing for doing the thing you don't want, and then that behavior is extinguished. My next topic is, what the specific benefits are of positive training, and the first one is it increases the dog's desire to please the trainer. And one of the things that's really helpful about that is your dog is always looking to you to find out what it is that you want, and especially in a situation that's like an emergency, when you really need to communicate to your dog. If you have a dog that's positively trained, they don't know what to do, they look to you to find out what's next. It really strengthens the bonds between the person and their dog, which I think is particularly important in hunting and training gun dogs. And basically, it also encourages the dogs to spontaneously offer behaviors. This is the thing in positive training that really speeds up the dog's learning time, because basically while you're working with your dog, the dog will try several things over and over again until they get the thing that you want and that you reward. It also allows you to make cute Christmas pictures. And these are my dogs, and in the window you can see me in the background. I've got a little treat and the camera. So otherwise, you couldn't get those three dogs to stand by each other, ever. Traditional dog training. Traditional dog training is basically based on negative reinforcement and punishment, and it works by teaching the command while you physically force the behavior. It often uses choke collars, prong collars, and electric collars to provide the punishment, and it's primarily used to train hunting dogs. And one of the things that I think is important to know is that in negative reinforcement and punishment training, dogs do learn. It takes them longer and it interferes with your relationship with them, in my opinion, but it is a training method that works. However, I don't feel that the results are the kind of results that you get when you work with positive reinforcement training. Some of the negative effects of the traditional training is, as I mentioned earlier, basically it risks creating a dog that suppresses all its behavior. If it doesn't know what it is that you want, the dog won't do anything at all for fear that if it does the wrong thing, it will be punished. Secondly, it increases the dog's stress, and we all know that increased stress interferes with your ability to learn. And the other thing that it does is it causes undesired collateral effects. And in this situation, you can see a dog that is fearful, and in this situation, you can see a dog that's aggressive. An example of this, these collateral effects, is that if you hit a dog when you're doing punishment, over time the dog can learn to be afraid of your hand and you won't be able to pet your dog because every time you show your hand it cowers. So basically what I'm saying in my speech is that positive training really leads to faster learning, stronger bonds, and more reliable results. And as I mentioned earlier, the dog that always looks to you is the dog that's really going to be able to do things that you want. I had a foster dog that I've only had for 3 days, ran out of my house and ran into the yard. I was able to say his name, and he looked right at me, and I called him and he came back in the house, which is astounding to me. My dad has a dog that when he runs away, when it comes back, he beats it with the broom. When it runs away, it stays gone for a really long time because it knows what's coming when it comes back. Negative training leads to submission, fear, and aggression. This is my dog Duncan when we first got him. This is 3 years ago now. And when we first got him, all he did was cower in his crate. That door is open, he can leave anytime he wants, but that's what he did for the first 2 months that we had him. This is Duncan now. He is an avid hunter. In fact, he is constantly at the park pointing birds and doing the things that he was bred to do. I am a member of Illinois Birddog Rescue, and that's where I adopted him from, and the president of IBR says it's very rewarding to see a once frightened pointer or setter lock on point and let their instincts take over. Duncan is so into hunting and so good at it that I'm actually going to learn hunting to be his companion. When he points, every time he points, he looks to the side for me to give him direction, and the first few times that he did that, I was like, I don't know what you want, and at that point I realized I do want to learn what it is that he wants, what signals he needs next to, point out and then flush the bird. The next topic that I want to add to this is that, as I mentioned, most gun dogs have been trained with the traditional methods, but there's really a strong movement now to do positive training with gun dogs. And Wild Rose Kennels covers all the basic strategies, methods, and philosophies of positive reinforcement training for their gun dogs. And this is Kona, who was owned and trained by Brian Lynn, and he's the former editor of Field and Stream magazine. This dog has many, many awards and was trained only with positive methods. PositiveGunDogs.com is an organization that is doing trainings all over the country, and they use all positive reinforcement-based training with clickers. And the one thing that I wanted to add to explain the difference between how training a dog in a positive manner and training a dog in a negative manner sort of looks is, for a dog that comes in the door, you come in the door and the dog jumps on you. Traditional training methods are you knee it in the chest and it hurts and the dog winces and goes away. Or with positive training, basically you step in the door, the dog jumps on you, you leave. You go back out because the thing that you are in that dog's life is the positive reward. And you just remove the positive reward and the dog will learn pretty quickly that when you come in the house, they need to sit and they need to stay off of you. That's the end. This is my dog Duncan now, and he is an absolute success. He's a very happy dog, and we actually call him bomb-proof. When we take him to adoption events, he can be around any kind of people. He can have strange men take him off on the leash and greet their families, and he has no issues. And I credit all that to